This is 20 spooky stories for brave little monsters, Halloween horror stories for kids. Written by Yash and narrated by Yash. Story 1. The Midnight Carnival That Never Leaves. Tommy had always been a light sleeper, but the sound that woke him at exactly midnight was unlike anything he'd ever heard before. It started as a distant whistle, low and haunting, followed by the creak of old metal and the faint tinkle of carnival music that seemed to drift through his bedroom walls like cold fog. He pressed his face against the window and gasped. In the empty lot across the street where nothing but dead weeds and rusted car parts usually sat, a carnival had appeared out of nowhere. But this wasn't like any carnival Tommy had seen in pictures or movies. The lights flickered in strange patterns, casting dancing shadows that looked almost alive. The Ferris wheel turned slowly, but Tommy couldn't see anyone riding in the swaying carriages. The strangest part was how quiet everything seemed despite the music. No laughter, no shouting, no sounds of people having fun. Just that eerie carnival melody playing over and over again, like a music box that couldn't stop winding. Tommy rubbed his eyes hard, certain he must be dreaming. But when he looked again, the carnival was still there. In fact, it seemed even clearer now, and he could make out more details that made his skin prickle with unease. The tents were patched with mismatched fabric that fluttered in a wind he couldn't feel. The game booths stood empty, their prizes hanging motionless in the still air. His parents were sleeping soundly down the hall, but Tommy knew they wouldn't believe him even if he woke them. Adults never believed in the really interesting things. Besides, something deep in his chest was pulling him toward that mysterious carnival like an invisible rope. He slipped on his sneakers and crept downstairs, his heart hammering against his ribs. Every creak of the old wooden steps sounded as loud as thunder in the quiet house. When he finally made it outside, the autumn air felt colder than it should have, and it carried scents that didn't quite make sense. Cotton candy mixed with something dusty and old, like the smell of his grandmother's attic. Up close, the carnival was even stranger. The entrance was marked by a twisted metal archway that looked like it had been bent by giant hands. Faded letters spelled out "Midnight Wonders." But some of the bulbs had burned out, making it red and DNGHDWNDRS in flickering yellow light. A tall, thin man stood beside a small ticket booth that leaned at an odd angle. He wore a red jacket that might have been bright once, but now looked faded and worn. His top hat sat crooked on his head, and when he smiled at Tommy, his teeth seemed just a little too sharp. "Well, the man said in a voice that sounded like it came from the bottom of a deep well. "What have we here? A brave little visitor, out past his bedtime." Tommy took a step closer, though something in his stomach told him to run. "Is this your carnival?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Oh, it belongs to all of us who work here," the man replied, gesturing with one long, pale finger toward the empty midway. "We've been waiting for someone like you, young man. Someone curious enough to investigate, brave enough to visit us in the deep of night." "Where is everyone else?" Tommy asked, looking around at the deserted carnival rides. The man's grin widened. "They're around. You just have to know where to look." As he spoke, Tommy caught glimpses of movement in his peripheral vision, shadows that seemed to duck behind tents when he tried to look directly at them. "Would you like to come in?" the man asked. "One ticket gets you access to all our attractions." "How much does it cost?" Tommy asked, reaching for his allowance money. The ticket man waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, we don't take ordinary money here. We prefer something more personal. How about your most treasured memory?"
Sample complete. Ready to continue?